Let me pull it up. I'm going to read it word for word. Ninja Squid. Ink Splash will no longer be invisible for 30/60 of a second immediately after transforming into kid form. What the fuck does that mean? Genuinely.
I don't know.
I've like broken it down like 4 times in my head. I'm like, I don't know what this means. I genuinely don't know what the fuck that could possibly mean. And that will be the goal of today's video, to figure out what all the patch notes for the latest patch of Splatoon 3, the mid-chill season update, also known as version 2.1.0, have in store for us. We have a minuscule amount of negative changes, but most of them are strengthening ones. So let's start with the main weapons. Both of the arrow sprays have had their inking area increased where the bullet lands, meaning the bullet decal that appears in the ground, or the ink splat, goes a little further than it did before. I guess you can consider this more range for the ink, allowing you to approach easier. The Jet Squelcher has reduced bloom while firing by 17% while standing on the ground without jumping. The Splattershot Nova, much like the Arrow Spray, has had increased its terrain inked by 19% in general, meaning that you'll get a more compact, full ink coverage when you shoot the gun. The Dynamo Roller has had its fall-off damage values increased to make it easier to land 50 damage hits and 100 damage hits from further distances than previously available. You can still land 40 damage and probably lower if you're at the absolute maximum range with the horizontal flick, but that sort of damage ramp up from 40 to 50 has been made easier for you to land with the weapon. And yes, it is noticeable. The Big Swig Rollers had its minimum damage from horizontal flicks increased to 35. This is very noticeable. It changes the weapon from being a 4-shot kill to a 3-shot kill at horizontal distances, and it really helps with cleaning up other players' kills because it gives you that extra 5 that really helps to combo with a lot of things in this game. The Bamboozler has had its ink consumption reduced by 17%, and the Nautilus has had its firing duration increased by 15%. Both of these mean you can shoot more often. The Sloshing Machine is the only main weapon that's been changed negatively, with its ink consumption increased by about 10%. This means the maximum amount of sloshes you can do without going into swim form or having abilities that increase your ink consumption rate is 10. The Angle Shooter has had its ink radius doubled when landing, so that means if it hits a wall or a player, the ink splat is twice as large. Alongside that, the damage has been increased from 30 to 35. Much like the Big Swig Roller, this allows it to combo better and be used as a killing tool more often. Though I don't think people will be using the Angle Shooter quite so much to kill as the Big Swig because it's so hard to land, but regardless. Moving on to the special weapons. Tacticooler's instant respawn is no longer barred by Haunt and Respawn Punisher's effects. At least according to this patch note, I think the effect is slightly reduced. Like, I'm talking about maybe half a second. Reef Slider has 28 frames specifically, so 2 milliseconds left than half a second of invincibility between the period of explosion and you being able to control your character. So half of that moment when you can't move at all, well, you'll be invincible for. The other half, though, slightly more than the other half actually, you will be vulnerable, just like it has been this whole time. Triple Ink Strike has had its radius increased by 10%, which is fine, but the damage has been increased by 50%. It has 1.5 the damage that it had last patch. This means that if you're in the effect for about a third of a second, you're dead. It does damage in about increments of 30, rapidly doing it over the course of the Ink Strike. If you could click by it, it's over. Your life is gone, forfeit, reduced to atoms. This is a massive, humongous buff to this humongous. Crab Tank has been nerfed slightly by reducing its ability to exist by 1 second if you do not have special power-up. However, if you invest in a special power-up, you can increase up to 9 seconds like before. The bottom 3 weapons on this list, Custom Splattershot Jr., Sloshing Machine, and Splatana Wiper, have had their special requirements increased by 10, while the rest have had their special requirements decreased by 10. Yes, even the Splat Dualies with its Crab Tank decreased by 10 points. Lastly, Ninja Squid. This one's been a very controversial ability since the game came out because of how flankless this game is. It has had its ability changed so that instead of being able to instantly become invisible when you go into ink, for the first half a second, the rippling effect will be visible. And according to data mining from this Twitter thread here, the swim speed debuff is just gone. Wow. That covers every change in this patch. I'll link the Twitter thread that I found about the data mine and alongside the patch notes in the description. And I appreciate you watching this video. It took me from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. to work on this. I'm gonna go now, and also, here's our new outro. Bye!